Hello, and welcome to Timing is Everything, a program of Care Dimensions. My name is Mary Crowe, Director of Professional and Community Education at Care Dimensions. We are continuing with our series of programs for you around hospice, a journey of care through the lens of the interdisciplinary team. Today our topic is inpatient hospice, the Kaplan Family Hospice House and the Care Dimensions Hospice House. We have the pleasure of speaking with Jennifer Sawyer, the Kaplan Family Hospice House Director. Jen, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you on. So tell the audience a bit about yourself and your role at Care Dimensions.
Jen Sawyer. I'm the Clinical Director at Kaplan Family Hospice House in Danvers. I've been there for about 13 years, and I couldn't imagine doing otherwise.
Yeah. So tell me this. What brought you? Why is this so special to you?
In a previous company that I had worked for, we had hospice who came into our facility, helped take care of some of the patients that we had there at the facility, and just seeing those nurses and those staff members and the way they kind of interacted and truly cared for those patients, made me realize more and more that I saw it, that was something that I wanted to be able to do at some point in my career.
Wow, and you were right, 13 years later, right? Yep. And I love that you say, and you can't imagine doing anything else.
Can't.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I find that, I've been here for 19 years, and I just feel like there's a lot of longevity. I think that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
When you see that. Yeah. So let's talk about the inpatient facilities, and you can explain that. And we're talking about the Kaplan Family Hospice House, talking about the Care Dimensions Hospice House. So go ahead and talk about that.
Kaplan Family Hospice House is a 20-bed inpatient hospice care facility for patients that are currently on our service. Yeah. We serve patients, from any locale and area, including out to the Waltham area for the Care Dimensions Hospice House. Yeah. That facility is an 18-bed facility, and they provide, again, the same kind of care we do. Yeah. We can provide general inpatient level of care, which is like an acute level of care for the sickest hospice patients. We can provide routine level of care within each facility, and there's a bit of a process and an application for that. We can also provide respite level of care as well for families who have loved ones out in the community who might have an upcoming event or maybe a pending surgery and need some help taking care of that patient, while they attend to their needs.
Yeah. So, and people are hearing these terms, right? So they're the inpatient or general inpatient. So that's really for people with really complicated pain or other symptom issues. They're hearing you say respite, they're hearing you say routine. What people don't understand is that there are different levels of
Yes.
hospice care.
Yep.
There are actually 4 of them. So
Yes.
so you just brought up 3 of them. And so I think that people don't understand that. So I think people also feel that if they go to the Kaplan House or the Care Dimension Hospice House, that they're going there and that they will go there to die. Mm-hmm. Many people do.
And certainly a lot of our population does, but we have patients who come to us, whether it's from a hospital or from home or from a nursing home or an assisted living, whichever location they live at. And if they come to us under the general inpatient level of care, it means that patient's symptoms, whatever they're experiencing related to their illness, can't be managed in the location that they're in right now. Yeah. So they need kind of our expertise and skill yeah. to be able to help manage those symptoms with, hopefully a goal is to help stabilize symptoms, yeah. Meet those needs and, with the hope of transferring them back to where they came from, their previous location. Sometimes it certainly does turn into an end-of-life journey for folks. Yeah. And we kind of meet them where they're at and kind of work with the family and the patient, throughout their stay within the building.
Absolutely. And there isn't, so people don't have to be there just for that abbreviated period. People can be there for a longer period, and even if they're not meeting that inpatient criteria, that's where the routine comes in.
Yes.
And they can be authorized to come to the facility. It's just how how it's in terms of room and board is covered.
Yeah, so with the routine level of care, someone comes to Kaplan or the Care Dimensions Hospice House for that level of care. It's very similar to like them living in the community, their own house or wherever they were previous. They don't require typically the skill
yeah.
under that acute level of care, that general inpatient, but they just need some basically 24-hour care that's unable to be provided at home. So again, there's a process with that on how folks come into our facility under that level of care, but we provide basically their 24/7 care for them under that routine level of care. There is a financial responsibility, you know, to the patient or family that does come along with that, and we could certainly help discuss that if the, you know, if the need was there.
Absolutely, and we'll give them information of how to call in and get some more information on that later. I just want to touch on the respite as well. So go ahead.
So respite level of care is for patients who are on our service, who have a caregiver at home or their other location where they're at, somebody who helps care for them. And again, that caregiver needs a break, you know, might be having surgery, maybe needs to go away for a wedding. You know, that caregiver just has to be in home with that patient of ours. And, you know, they can transfer in to Kaplan or to Care Dimensions Hospice House. And under a respite level of care, it is a 5-night with a transfer home on the 6th day. And again, we provide their care under that respite level of care, like they were home, you know, and follow that care plan that they have at home. And it's just done for our staff, and we help assist with that transfer home.
And they can, like you say, they return to where they call home. And the other piece to that is, and that's a covered benefit. So that's all covered under the insurance. It's a wonderful benefit. So I'm glad that, again, just to illustrate for people so that again, they can have more information on this, and we'll give them the contact information later. I want to talk a little bit about the Kaplan Family Hospice House, because this is a special year, isn't it?
It's our 20th anniversary.
That's amazing. Amazing. So will you talk a little bit about that, because this is a big deal.
We were the first inpatient hospice facility in the state of Massachusetts, so that in itself is, you know, pretty amazing. And when we originally started out, the facility was 12 beds. So we had 2 wings that had 6 beds each. And then obviously, I think within the first 4 years, 5 years, obviously the need kind of grew. It was realized that we needed to do a little bit more. They placed on an addition. We've become a facility now of 20 beds. Beautiful facility, well maintained. We're all on one level. The aesthetic of the facility is very home-like. You know, to hopefully help folks feel a little more at home, because we do try to tell patients and families this is their home, you know, while they're with us.
I hear stories. I'm out in the field, as you know, educating community groups and professionals, and there's not a day that I'm out there, Jen, that I don't hear these beautiful stories and these compliments and just what this meant to people. Because this matters, doesn't it? If people remember, you know, how their loved one dies, that will forever stay with that person. It affects the individual, it affects the families, and it certainly affects the professionals as well.
Impacts the staff totally. We have families that do come back on anniversaries. They'll place flowers or, you know, mementos or some sort of remembrance out on some of our pathways that are near some of our garden areas. We have maybe their patient or family had a family member had a brick laid down, you know, in memory of them, and that, you know, we see families frequently kind of taking their walks out there, placing their memoriam, and we see year after year, you know, some of the same bricks have, you know, the flower laying across it or some sort of memento left out there for them.
Which is beautiful. So they're going to be doing a lot of celebrations this year, right, around the 20th anniversary.
So there will be some staff celebrations internally. There'll be certainly some external celebrations, and I think trying to help the community realize the kind of work that we do, that we have done. We have staff that have been there since the day the doors opened, and for considering the kind of work that we do, that's pretty amazing. And it's not just all nurses or all aides. It's you know, someone who works in the kitchen. It's different disciplines, because folks are very invested in this kind of work.
They sure are. And you know, and we're in a minute we're going to show a video about the house and people talking about this, which again I think is beautiful. But you know, when I'm thinking about this, it really, when they built the house, they actually built it with the intention they could put the third wing on if the need was there. and wow, the need is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad they had the foresight, really, to think about that when this was being done. That, again, because you want to make sure people shouldn't have to wait for end-of-life care. It's got to be there. This is a critical time, and people need
Folks
it.
need our help.
Yeah, they sure do. They sure do. So let's take a look at the video,
Sure.
Jen, and then we'll get to talk about it for a few minutes.
I think when people come to the Kaplan House, they're probably entering into some of the hardest days they've ever been through. And I think people are so pleasantly surprised from the minute they walk through the doors. I've never been in a facility like this, and neither has probably everybody else that comes here. It's a beautiful place, it's peaceful, it's surrounded by nature.
Most families who are coming through have been through a lot of turmoil. And Kaplan House is so much quieter. It's so much more focused on just them.
We here, the clinicians, are trying to get to know a person and their needs, their wishes, and we're trying to work with patients and families to figure out how to best meet those needs.
And it's always someone to help, someone to be next to you, someone to give you a pat on the shoulder that said, we're here for you.
They can expect us as a team to be able to provide support and care for their loved one and for them as well. Each patient room is a private room, and each room is set up identically the same kind of aesthetic within the room. They, have a bed, a private bathroom. They have patio doors that lead out to a private, semi-private patio. Where we can push the beds out, folks can kind of enjoy some quiet time out there, and families do really seem to appreciate that.
There's so many spaces for contemplation, for relaxation, and privacy. Families enjoy the gardens. There's a little pathway around the building, and people can congregate where it suits them, whether it's in the chapel or in the healing garden, or even just in one of the common areas by the fish tank.
I think that families can really spread out and get comfortable here and make this place feel like their home. And they put all their family belongings and pictures on the shelves, and they bring all their favorite snacks, and they hang out, and babies crawl around, and they open the patio doors, and they're laughing outside the building. And I think that they realize that this can feel like home, even though they're a long way from home.
In a sad moment, it's like peaceful between us, the team, the family members, the patient, and having people feel safe and secure.
The actual physical facility is much more home-like than a hospital or often a nursing home. The opportunity for family to be around and to be present a lot more.
And I think, me particularly, I think it's our team here at Kaplan that kind of makes Kaplan a very special place. We have a lot of folks who are very invested in the work that we do in all our different disciplines, from the ladies who work in the kitchen to the social worker, the nurses, the aides, the volunteers. People are very invested and help to provide care and support for our patients and families.
I've worked a lot of different places, and what stands out about the Kaplan House are the nurses' aides that work here. They go above and beyond. They give care like no other care is given in any other facility.
First and foremost are the people who work here, who really care about providing dignity and respect to people in this last phase of life.
Sometimes in the moments, jokes, cries, sadness, and then at the end, family says, thank you for your help. It's a blessing that you feel like you did something to give.
The comment that I hear frequently is, we've never done this before, this is my first time, and it really is an opportunity to help people experience something that we will all go through in a more gentle, more supportive way. And I find that to be the most consistent thing that we bring to people's lives as they're facing the end of a loved one's life.
Oh, I'll tell you, I find this so moving, Jen. I have to tell you, when I'm just deep, I get deeply moved by this video. What resonates for you when you see it?
The amount of sincerity, compassion, and caring that staff, each individual staff member, from any range from the physician to the nurse to the, to our aide, to our social worker, that they all share for the kind of work that we do, and the care that we provide.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the part that just kind of struck me, is that how genuine and how this is truly a calling.
It is.
This is not a job. And I keep saying that, but I think it's really important for people to understand this. This is such a very precious time for people, and it is so important that they have that type of person
Support,
around to support those members of a team to help them through one of the most difficult times that they will have in their life. And I think that the team knows that. They understand. And when people come to us, this is a very vulnerable time for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the team is exceptional. There's nothing more than I can say. And every member of our team is just as important and provides something to that patient, to that family, or their visitor, during their stay with us.
Yeah.
Staff are great about paying attention to details, listening to the patients, listening to the families, what matters most to them, and we're able to do it.
Yeah. So personal, so individualized. So there's no cookie cutter here. Everybody's journey is so personal to them. And I've said it in other programs that this is a universal experience, but it is highly personal. It's highly personalized. Everybody's journey is going to be so unique to them, and that's what you do.
Yep.
Yeah, that it's just so
We're
important.
lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah, because like I said, it really is going to impact how the people's bereavement is affected by this, right? And I'm sure you see that all the time, and the difference that you make in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's and when we're talking about this today, because really what the focus is, right, is this is our interdisciplinary. We wanted to show this hospice journey from the interdisciplinary approach, and the inpatient facilities are just that. But again, in that, look at the importance of that interdisciplinary team. That's what hospice is about, right?
Yeah, I mean, our whole team is right there on site, which is not only great, for us as co-workers and, team members, that we have each other, for obviously, those patients and those families as well.
Absolutely.
Like, they need our support. We have our team right on site there to be able to provide it.
Yeah, they sure do. And it's all about the whole person, spirit, mind, and body. So you're attending to their physical and medical needs, but then again, we saw on this the social workers, the chaplains, the spiritual counselors, everything. The whole person is tended to. And I always say, if we're not doing that, we're doing them a disservice, and that's what's happening in full force here, isn't it?
It is.
So and I want people, we're going to be putting up, I know you saw the number in the video, but people could call, they can get more information, but we will also be putting that up again during this show for people. You actually, you give tours?
Yeah, most certainly. If folks have questions, we receive a lot of phone calls, even at Kaplan, of folks just inquiring about, Kaplan specifically, and, sometimes we provide a little bit of knowledge to them, maybe some clarification for what they thought it was or weren't quite sure what it was, and certainly encourage folks, if you have questions, you're welcome to call, and also if you'd like to have a tour of the facility, we're happy to provide one.
That's great. I also wanted to bring up that when you talked about people's personal needs, there was actually an individual who was there, patient, and my understanding is a horse came. So do you mind, without disclosing the patient, could you tell this story a little bit?
So probably a couple years back, and we actually had a recent inquiry about it as well. It didn't end up happening, but horses are very intuitive, and this patient particularly had an adoration for horses. They were special to her, and we were able, with the help of their family member, to be able to get a horse to be able to come. We had the patient, out to the patio, the horse coming right up to the patio, and that patient to be able to spend some time, you know, outside on the patio with that horse.
That's wonderful.
So very touching.
Yeah, and you have other situations like that where people have these unique attachments or connections with their animals or
Yep.
or other things, or even how many weddings have happened?
We've had some high school graduations. We've had some, I believe it was baptism. We did, you know, up in the chapel at one point. We have had a handful of weddings.
Yeah.
You know, where our not our gazebo, our outside on the patient patio, you know,
Yeah.
decorations were put up, runners were put down, music was played, you know, by some staff members who played instruments and everything, and a pre-wedding wedding, you know, ceremony was done for this particular patient and their family.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was pretty remarkable.
How important is it, right, to elicit from that individual of what is important to them, right? And everybody is so different, and we're not going to know. We kind of make assumptions sometimes, but that's what we try to avoid in hospice, right? We try to really understand from the person's perspective, what is it that's important to you? What do you need to do in terms of feeling like, again, you've accomplished what you need to do at this special time? And I'm sure you ask those questions all the time.
Yeah, I mean, just about 2 weeks ago, we had a unexpected birthday celebration. A patient was there and not able to provide for their family member whose birthday it was, and we had heard about it, and staff went out and had a birthday cake in the room for this particular family member when they came in, you know, as if it was presented by the patient, and, you know, they had a nice afternoon.
That's wonderful. You know, before we wrap up, I want to ask you, we've covered a lot of stuff in this program today. What would you like the audience to know that maybe we haven't talked about, or what maybe that you even want to emphasize, you know, before we end the show today?
Consider hospice. Ask the questions. If you're not quite sure, why not take a tour? Why not hear more about who we are, what we do, and the kind of care we can and do provide. I think kind of the experience of being within the facility itself down at Kaplan or Care Dimensions Hospice House, you know, folks can get a better feel of the environment. I can talk to somebody on the phone and tell them about us, but get the feel of the environment and the care that we provide, and observe the staff while you're there, you know, and the interactions that they have. You know, I think that can be very telling.
Yes, I do too. I think it's important for people to get to come in.
Yeah.
And we actually even invite other professionals to come in so that when they're talking with the patients and the families that they're serving, that they know what they're speaking to too, and that they can give a better understanding of that. You know, I just want, so we're talking about these inpatient facilities. Hospice is provided anywhere the person calls home.
Yes.
But it's really important today, from today's show, that you understand that one of those places can be one of these inpatient facilities with, again, as you mentioned, the Kaplan Family Hospice House being the first of its kind, and the Care Dimensions Hospice House also, which is on that Lincoln-Waltham line. So this is a special part of our organization. And not
small but mighty.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Timing is Everything, and again, look forward to having you tune into our future shows.
A lot of people think that hospice is bringing somebody on in the last few days of life, and that may be true in some instances, but we really like to be able to bring people on a little bit early so that they can really benefit from our whole interdisciplinary team.
Hospice really is a support of services that can really help enhance the quality of life for patients and families. And that, again, it helps to give them a little bit more control over a situation that they may not necessarily feel in control of.
We focus on comfort, and we focus on allowing patients to spend the time enjoying their lives, doing the things that they enjoy.
You literally just pick up the phone and call them and they answer. Or if you, even in the middle of the night, I tell families, if you need somebody, you have a question, you're unsure about something, call. You're not bothering anybody. There's always somebody available.
Because we are expert, we know what to do. This is what we do to help people. If you are going through something there and you need help, we're here to help, and we are very good at it.